Mr. Csonka, welcome to Unalaska. Why are you here exactly?
Well, Jude, I've put together a new show that's going to air on ESPN starting in the second quarter of 1998. It's called North to Alaska with Larry Csonka, and it's 13 episodes and principally centers around hunting and fishing to a degree, but we're really more of an outdoor adventure series and kind of a magazine format where we go in and explore a lot of things. We do a lot of history. We do a lot of outdoor activity, not necessarily all hunting and fishing. We do everything from whitewater rafting, a little bit of climbing, kayaking, anything like that that goes on. Mm-hmm. And our main thrust, of course, is to carry as much information to the American sportsman that lives in the lower 48 as we can about what's really going on up in Alaska and how much variance there is in the temperate zones as well as the activities that go on in Alaska. And I think most of the people in the contiguous 48 are very proud of Alaska. It's like our pride and joy, but we really don't know that much about Alaska in the sense of what's there to go up and enjoy, to recreate, to become a little touristy, in fact, and go and learn the history and so on. A lot of it's like the last frontier, and we're still discovering it. And hopefully, the show is going to air and help a lot of people become aware of what all's going on. We come here, obviously, to Dutch Harbor for two reasons. The first, of course, is the fishing situation, where we can talk about not the commercial application, but the sports fishing application, and let all the sportsmen in the lower 48 become aware of the fact that there's a new sports fishing mecca that's come on the scene. And the second is the history. Obviously, with the Second World War, the reestablishment of the Native Americans in their community and how they're taking charge of that and reestablishing their language, their heritage, their culture. We want to make sure that gets handed on, and that the people that come here are both sportsmen and perhaps history buffs, and makes for an entertaining trip, doesn't it?
Filming is, that's why they're going to use their camera. Okay? So you can come inside. It's hard to hear me.
So am I.
And the restoration crew is working, but if they get noisy, they
This will protect it so it won't quite be as susceptible to changes in temperature and humidity.
We still sing in Russian and then in English. And right now the choir stands up there currently. In the old days they used to stand up in the choir stand up in the loft there.
Damaged or at least darkened in the evacuation of World War II. They were rolled up and placed into suitcases and covered with everything from cooking oil to Vaseline in order to keep them from breaking up because of their already ancient situation. And when they were brought back after the evacuation, put back up, there was some damage to them. And then as late as the middle 60s, there was the idea of placing turpentine back over them, or excuse me,
a shellac.
In the middle 60s, they were shellacked in hopes that they would lay down flat and come out of the brightness. And that hasn't worked, and that's created a little bit of the wrinkly situation that you see. But there is an effort underway right now to come up with some way to bring them back out and brighten them, and hopefully take the wrinkles out.
These mirror interests of your own then, the kind of, obviously the sporting life and the cultural and historical aspects, and Alaska itself?
Absolutely, Jude. I'm a little bit of a history buff, certainly an American history buff, and a sportsman at heart, always have been. So those things combined. I've done other shows in the past. After retiring from football, I played with the Miami Dolphins for a number of years and was lucky enough to join them in the 3 years of the championship seasons, and used that as a springboard into TV and sports entertainment. And as a result of that, I'm now carrying 2 shows or working on 2 shows that are on ESPN. But my real thrust in the thing, and the reason I brought up the show based on Alaska, is we have had opportunities on those other shows to do little episodes, 1 episode here or perhaps segment of a show, and appear or go somewhere in Alaska to do that. Every time that happened, there was a tremendous spike in the graph on the viewing audience, and I learned from that, and as a result went to ESPN and said, look, everyone in the contiguous 48, the lower 48, have a tremendous pride of having Alaska be part of our nation. It's a pride in a homeland thing, but they really, they still picture it as 9 months of the year as a frozen wasteland, and that is incorrect. We have one of the most northern warm water ports going right here. We have rainforest over by Ketchikan and so on, and we need to educate as well as recreate. So what I'm doing is trying to take the sportsman's attention and focus it on the fact that there's skiing in the wintertime. There's all kinds of things going on in Alaska during the wintertime, that there are no longer, the perception of the igloo is nice, but at the same time there's much more happening. And hopefully our show is going to be able to convey that and to educate in that sense to the American sportsman.
I am so delighted because I find that in the lower 48, as we call it here, there is a tremendous misconception about what Alaska is really, and there's so many different things. I mean, it's not just one thing.
The vastness. I think Alaska is called the last frontier, but I think it will always be the last frontier simply because there aren't any others. But primarily because it's so great. It's so vast. There's so many different zones that it's impossible. When Oklahoma was the last frontier, the new frontier, suddenly people surged in, and that's not going to happen, I don't believe, in Alaska, because it's just too vast for that to happen. But what is going to happen is a redevelopment of the historical significance of not only the Native Americans, but also of the white man's development in this area. All of that's going to be recaptured and brought back, and rightfully so. And then that attracts tourism on a new plane of interest, not knickknacks and not toys and not make-believe, but based on historical significance and historical fact, coupled with the sports activities that are available in fishing and hunting and so on. I think that earns a tourist dollar that will please everyone. It won't be a rape of the situation, but instead an admiration of it.
Yes, to attract serious tourists rather than sort of people who are recreating for no particular purpose. What are you going to see particularly in Unalaska? What are your particular
We're going to cover those things. We're going to cover obviously the sports fishing, and then we want to touch on all the 2 forms of history, the Native American history, and secondly the World War II history. And then the changeover from commercial fishing interest in the area to sports fishing interest in the area. We've become, we're standing on probably what is the furthest out frontier for the attraction to the American sports fishermen. In other words, the Mecca, the promised land, where you can go and have a shot at catching one of the world's largest halibut. Places like that are attractive to the sports enthusiast or fishing enthusiast that has the money to come here. And he hopefully will come here with that goal in mind and be respectful of the situation that he finds here.
When do you plan to air this series? Is it, did you tell me?
Second quarter, the series will air in the second quarter of 1998. So on ESPN, it'll be on Saturday mornings in the outdoor block, so you'll all get it.
Right, I very much hope
All right.
so. Thanks very much, Larry.
Thank you, Judy.
We'll be following you around, so I might ask